In this video, we're going to talk about how to write a big aha. So first off, what is a big aha? In each unit, you're going to have a big aha question. And what we do is throughout the unit, we're going to be working towards answering that big aha question. And we're going to be making connections and summarizing your understanding of key concepts and the unit's big aha. For 7th graders, this year you will be writing 4 big ahas answers each unit, and each of those big aha answers will be 4+ sentences, so 4 or more sentences. If you have learning accommodations, for example, you are a second language learner or you have documented learning accommodations, you can write 3 big ahas instead. And then each of those can be 3 or more sentences. And you can obviously push yourself to do the 4, but the requirement is at least 3. Now, each unit will start with a unit cover page, and then the next page after the unit cover page will be 2 pages that will be called your big aha page. So for unit 1, we have our unit big ahas on page 12 and 13, and our big aha question is, can photosynthesis cause or solve environmental crises? What you'll do is you'll have a central image. So for example, I have this plant because it deals with photosynthesis. I've got my question. My question is in pink. And then you also have a little tab on the side that labels it so it's easy to find the beginning of each unit. By the end of the unit, you'll have 4 big ahas. And so your page is going to be filled like this. This is one from a 6th grade unit, but you can see there's the central icon, there's the big aha question, and then there's all these individual pages explaining this. So it says on page 61, and then the name of the page, and then talks about it. You can see vocabulary is highlighted. The second one here is on WINS, page 70, talks about what they learned. And then they have a whole bunch of green stuff here, and that's the cross-cutting concept. And so each of these different pages that they talk about will then have an arrow of connection saying, how well do they think this page answered this big aha question? And the choices are fair, strong, fair, or weak. So you'll have that. And sometimes you'll need a flip out so you can see that. So this is kind of where we're going towards the end of the unit with our big aha pages. Now, what are the expectations for a big aha? First off, you have on page 10 a list of expectations for the big aha pages. So each page needs to have the title of the page where it's found in your ISN, the page number, and then also how does this page answer the big aha question? You know, what do you understand from this page? You know, how does this provide important scientific background to answer the big aha? So for example, you might write something like, in the Fishkill, page 35, this reading relates to the big aha because, and then you go from there. So there is a support page that we will link for you, and this walks you through the steps of how to write a big aha. So this is what this video is going to do, is walk you through the steps. So the first thing is you pick a page that answers the big aha. So pretty much any page in your unit you can pick. And what I like to do is I like to think about, how is this going to help me answer the question, how does photosynthesis cause or solve environmental crises? Or it could just provide important concepts about the unit and not be specifically related to that big aha question. As we noted that you're also going to always cite the title of the page and the page number. And these are some sentence starters on page 37, carbon sequestration, according to the carbon cycle, page 38. And then you'll kind of tell us what you know about that particular page. So then you explain what you understand about the page. So this is what it's starting to look like. You've started to write on page 23. So let's say, for example, we pick page 23, which is plant cell structure and function. So you write down the title and you write down the page, and then you'll often kind of ask yourself, like, what vocabulary from page 23 helps us to explain photosynthesis or environmental crises? So I just wrote down the equation for photosynthesis here to be like, what of these structures and functions has anything to do with sunlight, carbon dioxide, or water that the plant takes in? And so that will help me kind of determine what I want to write here. And so when I look on page 23, I notice, oh, chloroplast, and sorry, that should be chlorophyll, chloroplast and chlorophyll, and the cell membrane, they all have something to do with photosynthesis. So for example, chloroplast is where the photosynthesis happens, and the chlorophyll, that should be the second word there, chlorophyll is the green pigment. And how does that relate to sunlight coming in or attracting sunlight? And then the cell membrane, it's like, oh, that allows things in and out of the cell. Well, what is it allowing in and out of the cell? So then I could talk a couple of sentences about that. Now, the next steps, step 4 and 5, are how do you, after you've written your couple of first sentences, you're going to maybe want to be more specific and talking about the big aha. So once again, page 23, if we were talking about that page, we're like, how do these structures in the cell, how do they relate to photosynthesis or causing environmental crises? And I was like, well, I don't see any conversation about environmental crises here, but I do see them talking about photosynthesis. So when I'm writing my big aha here, I'm going to probably just address the photosynthesis part. So it might be like, this relates to the big aha because these plant structures, such as chloroplast, are where photosynthesis happens. So you're making a direct link to your big aha. And once again, you are going to be writing for 7th grade 4+ sentences. And if you have learning accommodations, you can write 3 or more sentences. And then after you've done that, you're going to go back in steps 7 through 9. So after you've written your 4 sentences, you're going to then go back in and you're going to highlight key science vocabulary in orange. So you're going to kind of go through and like chloroplast and chlorophyll. If you highlighted photosynthesis in a different big aha, you don't highlight it here. So on your 2 pages, you would only highlight the word 1 time, not every time you see it. And then after you've done that, you are going to draw an arrow. You're going to put a box around, step 8, you're going to put a box around that particular big aha. So the page 23 big aha answer. And you can use any color except for pink, because pink is the big aha question, and green deals with a cross-cutting concept. That's step 6, and I'm going to make a separate video about that just because it's a whole extra level of complexity. So just know that your boxes are going to be any color except for green and pink. You can only use a green box if it's your big aha, and you can only use the green box if you're talking about a cross-cutting concept. After you do your box, so I have a red box around it. It can be any other color except for green and pink. I then go, how well did what I wrote, answer the question, how can photosynthesis cause or solve environmental crises? And I'm like, well, I talked about photosynthesis, but I didn't talk about environmental crises. So maybe I just talked about half of it. So I'm like going to give this a fair rating. And it's okay if it's weak. We're just trying to have you have some awareness about how does your writing relate to the larger question. So it's okay if it's strong, fair, or weak. Any of those are fine, but we just want you to identify correctly the level of connection. And once again, for 7th graders, you will write 4 of them. Each one will be 4 sentences. One of them will have a cross-cutting concept, which I will talk about in a separate video. And if you have learning accommodations, you can write 3 big ahas, and each one needs to be at least 3 sentences long. Once again, one of them must be a cross-cutting concept.